Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Choker Cup final between Hikaru Nakamura and Eric Rosen. I'm Malcolm Payne, an international master of chess, commentating here from the UK. I'm delighted to have with me the legendary poker professional Jeff Gross, who has over $5 million of tournament earnings. Jeff will be offering insights into the poker in Choker, while I'll be commentating on the fast and furious chess phases of this revolutionary game. My thanks to Chess24 for hosting this event and for working with us into the future. We'll have an exciting announcement for you about that later. And a reminder that you can download the Choker app from either the Apple Store or Google Play. Tonight, for the first time, it'll be the best of 7 clashes, so expect this one to be going on a little bit longer. Jeff, how do you rate these two?
Yeah, this is going to be super exciting. We've got Eric Rosen, who has won a fair amount of matches to get here, clashes, if you will. So he's very experienced. He's in the game flow. Not sure how much Hikaru Nakamura has been able to play lately. Obviously, a world-class chess player, but Choker, as we know, does have a variation of the game, and obviously he's played it. He's aware of it. He knows how it works. But I think Rosen is definitely in form, and I think he's up for the task. This should be a best of 7 to mention, not best of 5 for the final best of 7. This definitely could go the distance.
Yeah, we've seen that the great thing about Choker is certainly on the chess side that it can equalize, if you like, the difference in skill levels in chess because of the uncertainty of the betting and the need to have a certain poker nous, poker ability to be able to bet in a sensible way. And we've seen Eric Rosen already knock out one higher-rated Grandmaster in Simon Williams. After that, he eliminated the speed chess expert and streamer Rafael Chess from Brazil. And then I thought that possibly the best match of all that we've seen was Eric's match against Alexandra Botes. That could have gone either way, I think.
Yeah, I think, we have seen some very high level play. We've seen some adjustments. I think the players are getting more familiar with the betting style, with the poker sort of component, if you will, and what hands they want to continue with, when it's okay to fold, when you want to maybe fire a bluff or put the pressure on. So I think everyone's just getting more and more in tune with how the game's played, and we're seeing better better decisions and better gameplay in the betting portion of the match. I think that's where I just wonder how much Hikaru Nakamura has been able to put time into that recently. If he's able to practice and is aware, or if he's maybe watched some of the footage of these matches. I'd be curious to know how much his study's doing and how much he's just going to wing it. So I think we'll find out pretty soon.
Yeah, I mean, Hikaru has been a top 20 world chess player for many, many years. Deep preparation is his forte. I know that he uses computer preparation an awful lot in his games, researching into the openings of chess, but of course you just can't do that in Choker. He has been involved in the Choker project from the outset as one of our ambassadors, so I think he's got quite a lot of experience of playing on the app, but whether or not he's got experience of playing other players at a very high level, I'm not so sure. Okay, I think we might be about to begin the action.
Yeah, well, he looks dressed up. He's ready to go. And then Eric's got the hoodie, casual, more of a poker look, and Nakamura's in there buttoned up and ready. He's ready for the photo, the winner's photo. It looks like he's focused. I don't know, man. Who do you got? Who would you pick? Who do you think wins today, Malcolm? If you had to make a pick.
I've got a sneaking suspicion that Eric might do it, although he's certainly the underdog in terms of blitz chess, because Hikaru is the king of bullet chess with 1 minute on the clock and one of the best fast chess players in the world. I just wonder whether Eric's greater experience in match play might actually work here. Although, of course, Hikaru does play quite a lot of poker. He took part in the World Series of Poker in 2011, although he was out on the second day. I don't know what that means really in terms of a track record, Jeff. If you're out on the second day, is that still very much in the amateur phase, I guess, is it?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, again, one tournament, it's just like one chess match doesn't necessarily mean much, so not enough of a sample there. You could get it in with the best hand and lose, or the nuts, if you will. So that's not really enough to say. But I mean, it does show that he's played, he's participated, and I know he does sort of cross over into the poker Twitch space and maybe watches a bit. So I think he is aware of the fundamentals in poker.
So the betting phase went straight into quite a chunky pot, 20,000, and we saw that Hikaru drew us Yeah, they're both all in. So Hikaru drew a second queen, which has been demoted to a pawn. You can see that because it's purple at the bottom of Hikaru's board. So now they're in the second phase of Choker. After the betting phase, it's called the placement phase, where you have to put your pieces on the board. And White will still move first once all the pieces have been put. You can see that Hikaru had a queen, a rook, and another pawn to come on. So he's quite well placed. Eric doesn't have a queen, and as we've discovered in previous matches, that's a serious disadvantage. So Eric's definitely the underdog here in this one, I'd say.
Nakamura's board just looks powerful. He's got a lot of big pieces there, and also I think this is we noticed the players are both in red, so that does mean they can't cover the big blind. They are all in. This could be, unless there's a draw, this would be clash number one going someone's way. So best of 7. It's a fast start though. All in on the first hand. It's something we definitely don't always see. I'd say that's almost it's rare to see the all in on the first opening draw of cards. So could be a tone setter for the day. We might see some big pots and fast action. But I do got to say Hikaru has a nice looking hand to start. Having a queen's always good.
Yeah, and it's just about to reveal itself. So Eric's sitting there wondering what the next piece is going to be. It's rook and knight against queen. So rooks are worth 5, knights 3, but queens are worth 9. And on a wide open board, because normally in a game of chess there are 32 pieces on the board, but here you can see that there are only only 12. So there's going to be the queen is much more powerful because it can roam the board at will. So just 12 pieces on the board plus the king. So Eric's just got to dig in here. He's just got to try and survive. There's already the very unpleasant possibility of a check from the queen. So Eric, it looks to me like he's going to try and take some action to prevent that. His bishop is a bit out on the edge, not really doing very much. And the time, so you must keep an eye on the time.
Dropping clock quickly.
82 seconds to Hikaru's 116. And he's dropped a bishop. There we go. That check I was warning about, it's landed already, and that bishop has gone. Oh, he's giving another check just for good measure, and another one just to run his time down. Oh, that's evil. That's evil. So that's a classic tactic in chess. He didn't even go for the bishop. Because there was a threat of rook h8 check down the back, so he's just brought the rook in to attack the knight twice. The rook is now under attack twice there. But the knight, is under attack from the queen and the rook. Note that Eric had this threat of rook h8 check. That square that I'm highlighting now, that's why the queen is in this beautifully centralized position, covering that. Oh, this looks grim. It's got him with a back rank mate. It's all over.
Oh,
Hikaru wins the clash. They're all in on the first pot.
Made it look easy. That was quick, easy, and again, piece disparity or card disparity in the draw. So again, it's I think, like you said, Eric, great player, very experienced in choker, and definitely knows what he's doing. But sometimes that's where the luck comes in on the choker component. If you get significantly outdone on the distribution of pieces, it's tricky. It's not like a player like Nakamura is just gonna punish you on that, and that's not obviously not Eric's fault.
I mean, we've seen a few times players all in when they don't have a queen, and it usually ends badly. Usually ends badly.
Yeah, we have a queen too.
Yes, there was one. Yes, there was one pot, wasn't there, where someone had 2 queens and the other person didn't have a single queen. So we have a 2-minute break between each clash. Hikaru's gone off for a minute. Gosh,
so if you're Eric, is there anything you can do in that situation? I mean, that's pretty. A guy like Hikaru is just going to finish that most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, it was very difficult for Eric because Hikaru did the classic thing of not revealing the queen. So because it made it particularly difficult for Eric because Hikaru was black, so he placed his queen as the very last card, the very last piece on the board. So there was no way that Eric had a chance to actually react to the queen's mobility and try and cover some of the squares that it was threatening to go to. So it's certainly actually something I've never really thought of before, that you do have a much better chance of surviving the the disadvantage of not having a queen. If you're the last person to place a piece, at least you can use that piece to try and limit your opponent's queen. But Eric didn't have a chance. It was the last piece to be placed, and he was pretty much helpless there. I think, Jeff, pretty much helpless.
Yeah, it was that was very, very quick work there. And Nakamura, he's looks focused. He's ready. I like the outfit today. This is his final championship. He's got a Sunday red on. He's ready for it. He's absolutely ready. And I don't know. I'm hoping this goes the length, or we get to see a battle. But we're just not familiar, right? We've seen Eric. We've seen a lot of the players along the way that played multiple battles within this competition, but we just haven't seen anything of Nakamura yet. So he just gets that's a nice life. Just get put right into the grand final. He's right into the end, and he's going to see. Is he capable? Is he up for the task to just be called? He is the highlight of this, right? This is sort of this is built up for him. This is like challenging him if you want to be the world champion of choker in the grand final. So pressure's on, and he delivered right away. I was going to say the one thing I didn't get a look at was the betting. I didn't catch who put the pressure on. Did Eric have a chance to fold, or maybe how the betting went? I didn't catch the streets on which portion of the betting, if he had an out or if he was just kind of got caught in and his hand was too good to release, because that would have been maybe one area where he could have got off.
It was never a great hand. I think he might be regretting betting quite so much. So actually, the hands are balanced here. Rook, minor piece, in other words, bishop or knight plus 2 pawns, but both hands are balanced. I think you'd both be checking there.
Doesn't look too good, right? Both the other players too excited.
Yeah, they're both checking. Oh, Hikaru's drawn a queen.
Oh, man.
Now, how's he going to handle that? Eric's
been
cautious.
The pot. Definitely wants to bet. He's going for a sizing that looks very small. So it's like almost doesn't want to lose his opponent. And for that price, it's a big part of poker is pot odds or the amount to call. So if you're getting a good price, generally it's going to make sense to call. And I mean, his hand's not terrible, but definitely an advantage for Hikaru here. And you can see that's still 7.5. Still 7,500 behind. So worst case scenario, we will see another game within the clash here, no matter what happens.
Yes.
So
I thought that was clever of Hikaru, just not raising him too much. He didn't try to to stop him folding at that point. But he didn't succeed in getting him to bet more. So there we see Hikaru immediately putting his knight on f7, covering the h8 square. So Eric's rook can't dive in. Let me just highlight that square. Very good. Eric likes putting his rooks on the edge because what it does mean is that he can castle. So Eric's got the possibility of playing a double move. The king goes 2 squares, the rook goes 2 squares. That's his trademark. I think he's the only player who's castled so far in the tournament. Jeff, one thing that didn't occur to me, which maybe I should have thought about before, in terms of the relative chances of the players. Oh dear, Eric's just realized Hikaru's got a queen. Is of course Hikaru's been able to prepare for Eric, and Eric hasn't been able to prepare for Hikaru because he's never seen him play very much. So actually that's quite a significant advantage for Hikaru, I would say, particularly as he's such a master of preparation in normal chess. Okay, Eric's a queen and rook against 2 rooks. This is just lost. He'll be finished off in double quick time. All he can do is huddle all his pieces around his king and pray, but it's just gone. The queen and rook are already targeting this e2 pawn. Eric might as well resign. It's all over. Hikaru's got 135 seconds. He's also playing awfully quickly here as well, Hikaru. So that pawn's going to go. King, doesn't matter what he does now. Hikaru's going to advance another pawn up and make another queen. Didn't even bother taking the f3 pawn. Okay, but the g4 pawn could go now too, and the f pawn's going to go. He's going to hoover him up and win incredibly easily again.
Yeah, well,
I'll just play it out though.
Called the final boss by most of the players.
A little bit of trickery. Hikaru has a little bit of a laugh there. Eric offered him a rook, and if that rook had been taken, it would have been stalemate. Oh, he's done it! No, I don't believe it.
What?
No, that can't be possible. He cannot have done that. No, that's ridiculous.
What happened?
So
what? Can you break down what just happened?
So what? Yeah, sorry, I'm still in shock, Jeff. The first thing that happened was that Eric offered Hikaru his rook for nothing, and if Hikaru took it, then it would have been something called stalemate in chess, which is when one side has no legal move. Like if you've only got a king left, you can't put it anywhere without it being in check. So you have no legal move. If you have no legal move, the game is declared a draw, provided your king is not in check. So Hikaru saw that one and played a different move, gave Eric a check. Eric then offered him another opportunity to take his rook and stalemate him, and he did. So the pot was shared. It was the most incredible blunder from Hikaru. I wonder if he'll be on tilt now after that.
I'm just so lost. So was that? I mean, is that literally? That was just like
stalemate. We haven't seen that. Yeah,
is that Nakamura? So he should never allow that to happen. He should be completely aware that's not.
Yeah, I mean, a top player would never blunder like that. I mean, to give you an idea of how traumatic it can be, I remember blundering in almost an identical way when I was 7 years old in a tournament, and
wow,
I still remember it. I remember where I was. I remember. No, I mean, it's like trauma.
Wow. I guess if you'll have to check in with Hikaru what happened there. I didn't realize it's that severe, but
crazy.
Man, interesting.
That's the most amazing blunder. Oh, we have your favorite 2 pawns up now, Jeff.
Oh, so maybe he's done the work and they've worked it out. So snap fold, doesn't even consider it.
Interesting. Because I think that Eric plays on 2 pawns when he's in a reasonable pot position, right? He's done that before.
Mm-hmm. And we still see Hikaru with the chip advantage. And now their pots are getting bigger. The blinds are going up. No player in the red zone yet. And again, neither player going to love this.
He's calling on 2 pawns. Rook and pawn is a slightly below average hand. Oh, now is Eric on for an empress here? He's got 2 bishops. Eric could be on for an empress. He's got 2 of a kind and 2 of a kind. He's got 2 bishops, 2 pawns. So he could get an automatic promotion if he got either a pawn or he didn't. Oh, that's annoying for him.
Yeah.
This is a terrible hand. Terrible hand for Eric. If he's under any pressure, he'd fold it.
The problem is if he calls, he's going to be in that danger zone. So like even if he calls at 1.5, he's getting a good price, but then it's a significant bit of his stack. So I think he decided he either had to go with it or not. And that was some discipline there. And definitely, I think you could argue either way. I like the fold though. Like you said, it's a pretty abysmal hand. And it was such a crucial moment. If he had called, he would be down at 3.75 if he doesn't win the game within the clash. And so look, you can see though, he's already in that danger zone. So he has lit up into red and he's got a good hand. He's definitely going to be putting his chips in here. And we see a fold though from Hikaru.
Hikaru had minor piece and pawn. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense, but he had his opponent so low in chips. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I see. So you try and put a bit of pressure there, right? Yeah.
You just might say, you know what, put him in for all of it. The blinds have gone up as well. So this is where you could see there's definitely some skill. The pot's already at 6K just right away. I mean, it's essentially all in. There it is. And Hikaru's not going to mind with a queen there. He has got to feel pretty good. He's going to call. And so, he's going to be at risk for the second clash with a lead. He's got a
queen
nice
and rook
hand.
Yeah, queen, rook, knight, and 2 pawns against queen, knight, 2 bishops. Wow, this is pretty. This is one of those small material disparities that pretty much don't matter. This is pretty random. I mean, Eric has white. He has the first move, so that will help him. But a lot will depend on the placement. So to that extent, Hikaru's quite well placed because he can place his queen last. So Eric's got to be on his guard there. Very, very close. Rook, queen, and knight against queen, knight, and bishop. So just a rook for a bishop, which is not a big disparity. 2 points in chess. Rooks are worth 5, bishops 3, but all the pieces complementing each other to an extent. Note that Eric's put a knight by his king. Knights are really good for defending the king nearby. They move in an L shape, a very unusual shape. Hikaru's gone into into deep defense here, putting a bishop on its original square where it has no mobility just for the purposes of defending the king. The other bishop goes on a more active diagonal. It's got a much more scope.
Yeah, well,
Eric's got queen and rook.
8 trillion plus moves, or I guess openings, right? Is that what it is? So it's there's probably there's a lot of work that could be done in this aspect of the game on the placement phase, because I'm sure it's not solved yet, and people are still experimenting.
Yeah, trillions of possible starting positions, whereas in normal chess, in classical chess, we have just one, and in Fischer Random, we have 960. Now, that was a sneaky one by Hikaru. He's threatening queen takes pawn because the bishop is pinning the e2 pawn. Eric's got to deal with that. How's he going to cover that? Okay, queen f5 defending the pawn, just keeping an eye on that bishop, just a little eye on it. It's defended by a knight, but he's just eyeing it up. And maybe later, Eric might be able to move his knight into e4. Hikaru sets up another threat. He's threatening e2 now, this pawn. So queen e4 covers it and sets up threatens up a nasty check on the back there, which would win, or certainly attack a bishop. So the bishop retreats before it's attacked by that check. Eric hits the queen. He's kicking Hikaru back now. He's gradually gaining space, moving the king to a safer square. Hikaru's knight jumps out, wants to join in the fun. Now, that's interesting. I would have thought queen to f4 might have been better there. Hikaru covers his bishop with a knight. He covers that bishop with that L shape there, that classic L shape of a knight. That's how knights move. It's time for the white knight to get into the game, I think. Time for the white knight to be active. Queen takes knight is a very clever move from Hikaru. I think Eric had missed that. Knight f4 check, knight takes queen. Oh, wow. Now Hikaru's not doing badly at all. Not doing badly at all. It's rook and pawn against 2 bishops. That's actually level in chess terms. Rook and pawn is 6 points. 2 bishops is 6.3 points each. What Eric will be trying to do is move that past g pawn. When we say a pass pawn, we mean a pawn with no other enemy pawn that can block it with a diagonal capture. Now Hikaru's bishops are really active. Eric's got to watch out from both of them because they're both going to control lots of squares. That was a good move, bishop e5. It's going to come down to the clock, this one, I think, Jeff. 60 seconds against 80. It's going to be much easier for...
Hikaru showing his, I think he's the third highest ranked player in Blitz in the world. Is that right? Or one of them?
Well, yeah, I mean, he is, but also at bullet chess, when there's only 1 minute on the clock, he's just about the world's best, if not just definitively the world's best, actually. So this is really tough for Eric. He's just digging in, but digging in isn't going to help when you're nearly 69 to 42. Yeah, that's over 50% disparity on the clock. So pawn to e4 is a good move, hitting the black bishop, forcing a retreat. Hikaru didn't like that. This position's much more solid for Eric now. Now, what Eric needs to try and do is, if Eric can exchange the rook for a bishop and a pawn, then he will leave a situation where Hikaru has only a bishop left, and you can't deliver checkmate with just a bishop. So Eric needs to somehow rid himself of either one of the bishops and Hikaru's pawn. That will then be a draw. But easier said than done, because he needs to get his king towards that pawn. Maybe the king could start wandering that way. I don't know. It's not easy. I think Hikaru's strategies. Hikaru's strategy is just to run him down. Very good move by Hikaru, denying Eric the possibility to approach the pawn on the d5 square, forcing the king back, just not letting Eric execute that planning. Hikaru knows what he wants, and he ain't going to let him get it. Simple as that. Time's just going to run out for Eric now.
It just seems like no pass.
3-1 disparity on the clock. He's down to 9.9. The clock's gone red, so when he's down to less than 10 seconds, the clock goes red, as well as the chip stack in the bottom right-hand corner.
It's a lot of red. That's too much red. You got no chips and no time. That is not a good spot. He is just, it's a formality now. It's all over but the crime. This is going to be a 2-0 lead for Hikaru. Gets it done, and wow. Yeah, good game, but
very efficient. Eric missed that trick. Beautiful queen sacrifice by Hikaru that Eric hadn't seen. He was rocked back by that and in big trouble as soon as that had happened. Wow. He is the boss. He is the final boss. He really is.
Let's tell you what, that is quite an outfit. This is a real sharp threads he's got on there. Nothing against Eric, but I got to give him props. He looks fully focused in there. I don't even know what he's wearing, but I love it. It's like a sweater. It's like the Sunday. I mean, I'm telling you, that's the red. It's like Tiger Woods on golf. He wears red on Sunday for the final day of the golf stuff. So
really?
Okay. Final red. Yeah, it's a very powerful outfit he's got on. Very, very serious statement he's making there. So again, we'll have a 2-minute break, and I don't know. I'm Eric. I'm not. I mean, I'm not. I don't want to jump ship. I don't want to. And you're saying Eric, but it doesn't. It looks like Hikaru's got this in pretty nice control. 2-0.
Yeah.
But 7, a little extra room, best of 7. There's still time.
Yeah, there's still time, but I am surprised actually that Eric missed that sacrifice in the night fork, and maybe he's just not at his best today. Maybe he's even a little bit nervous playing in this final against the great man.Maybe that's affecting him. We'll have to see. But, that was ruthless from Hikaru.
Eric's done very well. I mean, he's earned his way here. He's had some good display of skill and technique, and obviously making it to the final. He's beaten several different talented opponents. So he's no slouch. Like, no matter what, he'll be happy with this showing. I mean, this is the grand final, but he did beat the other competitors in this Choker Cup. So he's had a good showing.
It's fair to say he's won more competitive choker matches than anyone. So he gave us a brief glimpse of what he's drinking. I didn't see it too clearly. I certainly saw the word coffee, though. So it's not the Simon Williams cider. This is too important to be imbibing alcohol on. I
think Hikaru would be great at poker. You got to be calm, patient, nerves. He looks like he's done his yoga, meditation, cold shower. He looks very relaxed, just very stoic and focused. But here we go. Another betting face. See if Eric comes out with not a great starting hand.
Yeah, Eric has the worst hand. I mean, given that that's his small, only 500, surely that's a fold, isn't it, Jeff? Worst possible hand in a small blind, yeah. Yeah,
this is clash number 3. And if it's anything like, again, in sports, these type of NBA, baseball, where there's best of 7 series, you do not want to go down 3-0, just like anything, right? It's a big mountain to climb when you're down 3-0. The statistics are not in your favor at that point. So this is, I don't want to say must win, but it does feel like a must win for Eric on this particular clash. 2-1 is a lot more reasonable than 3-0. So let's see. Let's see what happens.
Neither side has a queen. Knight, bishop, rook plays rook, bishop, bishop. That's marginally better for Hikaru. The 2 bishops are very effective on the open board, particularly the wide open choker board.
You see him scroll all the way left, just putting a little something in the pot, make him make a decision, the min bet.
Oh, it's worked for Eric. He got a second rook. So he actually stands better in this hand.
Yeah, let's see. Does he want to put some chips in the middle, or is he just thinking, you know what, I don't have a queen, maybe I just want to check, limit the variance? Yeah, it does check. So he does have the advantage. He doesn't know it, but it would have been nice to see him get some more chips in the middle. So this is a 4.5K pot, pretty small pot. Each player would still have a healthy stack if they don't win this particular game within the clash. So it's called small ball, playing small pots. I think so. Generally, here's a good rule in poker, and heads up. If you feel like you have a disadvantage to the player, let's say you're heads up in a tournament, you're down to the end, you want to try to increase variance. You want to play big pots. You just kind of want to get a lot of chips in, and whatever before the cards are out. Like the further along in the match, if you feel like you have an advantage, you want to play typically small ball, like smaller pots, pockets. It's called pot control. You want to go to the board. You want to limit variance. So. I think if Eric does decide he feels he's at a disadvantage, a good strategy may be to increase the pot size and push the variance. But he may not feel that. It's a couple games, couple clashes, and Hikaru had very good hands in those matches. So,
Eric's threatening mate in 1, Jeff. Eric's threatening mate with his last rook placement. Hey. Really? Oh, but of course it's Hikaru's move, so because he's white first. So now Eric knows that Hikaru hasn't got a queen, which is good news for him. And he knows... Sorry, what's going on there? What's Eric done?
Did he just...
He literally put his rook in the placement phase on a square where it could be taken by Hikaru's rook, and Eric now loses all of his pieces in a cascade. I mean, you can't resign, or at least I suppose he could resign, but now he's going to lose his knight. It's going to be check. He's going to move his king. He's going to lose his other rook. What a catastrophe.
Hikaru looks
I can't believe it happened. Oh, Eric, what did you do?
Eric is whatever coffee advertisement he just shot on there. I don't know if that's going to go well, because he is not in full form right now.
Oh dear, no. I mean that was dreadful. I mean that was actually kind of worse than Hikaru's blunder, because Hikaru's blunder was in the thick of it when they were blitzing away with a few seconds on the clock. I mean, Eric had lots of time in the placement phase. How did he do that? What?
It does show you, though, top players, they have a lot to learn in choker, and there are mistakes. It does happen. Every second counts. So sometimes maybe you think, oh, it's a trivial move, but you do want to give a slight pause and think before you fire. But that was not expect that from Eric. But the good news, though, that was a small pot, relatively speaking. Right. It was not all in, and he is going to go ahead and. He did win the pot there, I think. So actually, the chips are pretty even. They're about dead even here.
Okay, he survived that disaster. Jeff, the funny thing about Eric's blunder was that he's been always putting his rooks in both corners every game, and he just did it again automatically without regard to where Hikaru would put his rook. That's why he lost in that bizarre way.
Wonder if subconsciously Hikaru, who studies his opponents very well, maybe knows that's what he does, and maybe just thought there was a outside chance. He just you don't ever believe that could actually happen. I would imagine, but yeah, he'll take it. Oh, and decent, very very good starting hands for both players. We do see a queen though for Hikaru, and this pot is Eric. All in. Look at Eric. This is red zone for both players. This is all in. This is essentially the clash right here. This is the clash because both cannot cover the big line. So this is an all-in situation and must win for Eric for sure.
Well, I think he's massively outgunned on the board. Hikaru's got a queen, 2 bishops and a knight. That's 19 points when you add the pawn. And Eric has only got, let me see, rook and 2 bishops, which is 11. So Eric sees 19 to 13 down. He won't survive long. Hikaru's got a queen. Eric hasn't got a queen. Look for Eric's face when Hikaru places his queen in just a few seconds. He won't be a happy bunny. Here comes the queen. Now he'll probably, I don't know, he might. Yeah, that was what I was B1, where it's got this huge amount of scope threatening to cause havoc. Eric looks almost resigned here, Jeff. He's, you can see, just very disappointed with that. Nothing he can do. All he can do now is just put his rook somewhere to cover. Again, he's just got to curl up in a ball and hope that he survives, but he's even 18 seconds on the clock.
No surrender button, like blackjack. You can get half of your pot back and just move on before the placement goes.
Yeah, I mean, in chess you can resign. Yeah, in chess you can resign, but Hikaru methodically swapping the pieces off. Yeah, so this is always the best tactic when you've got extra material. You just exchange pieces so that your advantage is greater in percentage terms. So there comes the bishop attacking that bishop, which can't move because it would be checked from the queen, which means that the exchange is forced. The king has been hopelessly exposed. Now he's just going to lose his pawns.
I mean, look how much time Hikaru has on his clock. This is just like absolute rapid fire. I mean, he's just got full time.
Okay, another double attack hitting the rook and the pawn, bringing the knight in. As we say, queen and knight, they're all right. The queen does vertical, it does horizontal, it does diagonal, the knight does the L shape, so the two of them work beautifully together. Every conceivable chess move covered. There goes the rook. It's going to be checkmate in 3 or 4 moves.
Does not look
Boom.
good.
Yeah. Checkmate.
Wow. Hikaru with a massive, massive lead and really decisive victories. We saw one blunder mid clash, and Eric would wish he takes back. But really, if you're betting sport right now, you got to like Hikaru at 3 clashes to 0. He's got a must win. Eric's got to go chalk. He's got to go win, 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 and that is a tough order. So let's see. Can we extend? Can we at least get to game clash 5? If I hope
yes.
so. Let's hope we see Eric get put up a fight here. He's also again not got great distribution in pieces, which doesn't help. I think there's been some pretty big chip disparity, piece disparity, if you will. So let's take a short pause here in between each clash and see what happens. I mean, this is quick. It's about 30 minutes so far of play, and it's already 3-0. That would have been it normally, but this is again best of 7 in the final. So in the other Choker Cup matches, we would have been done. This would have been the winner interview already, but we are getting a bonus clash, maybe more, with the best of 7.
Yep.
So we'll see.
I think now would be a good time to make the announcement to all of our viewers on Chess24, which is that we hope shortly to have a web interface on Chess24 so that you'll be able to play Choker actually on the Chess24 server. So look out for that. The developers are working hard at it. It's in beta, and we hope to have that for you soon. In the meantime, of course, you can download the Choker app and get involved at the Apple Play Store or Apple Store or Google Play. Eric needs to get his thoughts together here. But I guess he should try and be aggressive, I guess, right? I mean, he might as well just go for it. He's 3 down. He's been comprehensively outplayed. He needs to get a few more folds out of Hikaru maybe in the betting phase. I don't know. Oh, there we are. Coconut cold coffee. Well, remind me not to be drinking that next time I'm playing Choker.
Yes, it might be a great drink, but via match so far, not the best result.
He'd be better off with Simon Williams' cider, actually, I'm thinking. Okay, lousy hand for Eric. Minor piece and pawn. And another pawn. Oh,
he's already shaking his head. He's
terrible.
This doesn't look great. And again, still he can release if there's any pressure betting, which we're going to see some betting. It's interesting that Carl really going for small sizing when he bets. He's not betting big bets. And look at that, just enough. He just puts a little blows on the pot and takes it down. So again, here we go. Again, it's just more and more stacked against Eric. Now he's got chip disparity. It's 11-9, and we're in now he's in an actual must-win clash situation. So small lead, but first blood for Hikaru in the 4th clash.
I mean, he had a 1 in 4 chance of getting a queen or a rook there, because there are 44 cards on the table, and 16 are pawns, 8 are knights, 8 are bishops, 8 are rooks, and 4 are queens. So I mean, it was a 1 in 3 chance, wasn't it? Better than 1 in 3 chance of getting a big piece, but of course his opponent had the same. So
big draw there from Hikaru. He picked up a rook and a queen.
Ooh. Eric's got queen and 2 bishops, though.
He's going to raise it back.
Yeah, but this is the reverse of the other hand when Hikaru had the queen and 2 bishops, and Eric had the Hikaru. Yeah, this time Eric's got the hand that Hikaru had. It's better for Eric. Prefer the 2 bishops over the rook on the open board.
Yeah, well, they're going to play for it all. So this is it. We are on the line here. This is going to be all in. You see the red zone there, meaning he is all in. And wow, some powerful pieces out there.
Yep. Queen and 2 bishops. I mean, they rule the diagonals. Yeah, the queen is on the diagonals. Both bishops are on the diagonals. We're going to see crisscross chess here. Hikaru's pieces, the rooks, work vertically and horizontally.
Well, let's see if Eric can execute. It's full clock. Everyone very healthy on clock. We got the placement phase coming in. Eric knows what he needs to do if he wants to continue.
Have to show the big pieces now. That's an interesting move. Didn't really
Eric
like that,
is all
actually.
in.
Yeah.
Hikaru would actually be able to post the blind. So you can see he has 2,000 behind. He's not in red. So if Eric does actually win here and finish this off, he would still have to win again and to finish the clash,
Right.
which is interesting. So he's...
Yeah, a reminder that if the stack is red, it means you can't cover the blinds on the next hand, and so you've got to win the pot. I didn't like Eric's placement of his bishop there, really, because it's just kind of vulnerable, and it's immediately been picked up and targeted by Hikaru's rook, which is moving in a straight line as opposed to my telestration. Both sides yet to reveal their queens, of course. There goes Hikaru's rook. Oh, that's very nasty. That's a nice placement for the queen, threatening to come down there in conjunction with the rook and cause all kinds of trouble. That will be a wholesale invasion of the black position. Hikaru seems a little taken back by that. He needs to put his queen somewhere where it's going to defend, because he's got this enormous hole. Where's he going to put the queen c7, really? Really? Wow, that's taking a risk, to put it mildly. I think Hikaru's gambling on an exchange of queens here to help him. But I would have thought that if Eric used up some time here, he might be able to find a combination that just wins by force. He's trying to calculate this out. Hikaru's threatening to take the bishop down here, but Eric can cause all kinds of trouble. I'd said a double check, and the bishop's going to come to a4, played immediately. Hikaru's king is on the run. Now, queen c4 check is possible. Moving the queen one square to the left. That would not be nice. The bishop and queen are already exerting influence near the squares around the black king. Hikaru's definitely in big trouble here. I can't calculate it precisely, but he could be almost lost by force. He's barely hanging on. Queen b5 check now, one square diagonal, will force the king to go to c7. And then it would be a question of whether you could advantageously bring the rook in to do some serious damage. Or maybe there'd even be a sacrifice. No, that doesn't quite seem to work. It's just a shame that this rook is cut off. Eric could actually castle now. He could castle, and that would bring the rook in. That would be a killer. Instead, he's attacking... Why did he do that? He's attacking the black queen. I see that, but the queen can come away and give a check, so I don't really get that. Eric's already down to 56 seconds. He could have castled there. I think that would have been decisive. Hikaru going for the queen exchange, of course. But Eric now can give a very unpleasant check. 48 seconds. Queen d7 check looks evil. But then he needs to bring this rook in. This rook is sitting there doing nothing. We have a saying in chess, Jeff, that when you're attacking, you've got to bring everyone to the party. Bring everyone to the party. Come on, play it. You know you want to. That's it. Now the rook is threatening to come in. Hikaru looks slightly puzzled by that. Now the rook's threatening to come to b1. Hikaru covers that immediately with queen b7. Great play by Hikaru. Eric just needs to keep this going. He just needs to find a way to land a blow with the rook. He can't afford to swap the queens, because then it'll take ages to... He's swapping them anyway, but now he's run out. He's got very little time. His problem is he's got very little time. So he won't be able to finish the game in 17 seconds against 91. He's thought too long. He's going to go. Yeah. We're seeing the end of it. I don't believe he's going to... I can't, unless he can give checkmate almost immediately. But this looks very difficult to do. Hikaru seems to have this under control. Is it going to be a threefold repetition? Very close to a threefold repetition. Yeah. The pot will be shared. The pot will be shared when the position repeats 3 times. Hikaru can't get out of that. Eric's just snuck out of it before he runs out of time. I think it will be declared a draw. You'll see the app will declare it a draw in a minute. There it is, threefold repetition. Yeah. If you get the identical position 3 times in chess with the same player to move, the game is a draw. God, Eric was absolutely busted there. Not on the board. He would have won on the board if he had enough time, but he had 5.5 seconds left. Wow, great escape.
That was, but at the same time, it looks like he had a chance to actually win, though, earlier.
Absolutely.
So I think that was so kind of a weird flip-flop of should have won and then should have probably lost and got bailed out. But yeah, interesting. So he did recognize it, though. He did find a escape hole.
Yeah, I was lucky. Oh, he's queen and knight. Now he needs to draw Hikaru in. Mind you, Hikaru's got 2 rooks, but we've seen queen and knight massively outplay 2 rooks usually. Oh, 3 rooks. That gets demoted. Hikaru got demoted to a pawn. You can see it in purple there. So he's quite significantly behind. Eric with, let me see, 16 points to Hikaru's effectively 14. Hikaru draws a bishop. So now actually materially then they should be pretty level. 17 points, plays 17 points. It's just that Eric's got the queen, which in the past has been very advantageous. Hikaru folded.
Interesting.
Well, I mean, if he plays over the replay, he'll probably wish he'd played. But I don't know. Queen and knight against 2 rooks, even with an extra piece Hikaru had, it would have been very unclear. Very unclear.
Yeah. So look at this, Eric. Now with a little breathing room, he is in the lead, and we were seconds away from this being all over. I mean, that was literally 3-4 seconds away from this being 4-0 night grand final done. But we are in still a battle here in the 4th clash.
Yeah, but Eric's just had another drink of that coffee, Jeff. I don't think that was a good move.
I hope. Yeah, it's not working so far, but maybe it hasn't kicked in yet. And he's got a nice hand here. Oh, and there's an all-in. Wow. He's gonna snap call that. He's gonna like to see it. It was like Hikaru, I guess. Interesting. Decide to just go all in there.
Oh, Hikaru got another demotion. It's made his hand even worse. He's utterly helpless. Okay, this is over. If Hikaru wins this one, he's not a world top 20 player. He's a magician.
It's that big of a disparity, huh?
This is a massacre. Yeah, I mean, you asked me about whether you could beat Magnus Carlsen from this position. I think you would beat Magnus Carlsen from this position.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
You can't
I'll take that. What's the point? What's it add up in points?
Let me see. So it's 14, 17, 22, although it was 21 actually on the cards, plays 11, 21, 11. But it's having the queen and rook when the opponent hasn't got either that is really the kicker. So Hikaru doing that classic strategy that we've spoken about before. He's just going to play rope-a-dope. He's just piling all the pieces near his king, just trying to set up a constellation and say, break this barrier down in your 137 seconds if you can, Mr. Rosen. But I don't think Eric's going to have a problem doing that. Yeah, the bishop's going to come in to create another barrier, probably here. I mean, literally, you just got to curl up into a ball and pretend you're a hedgehog. I think bishop c3. That's the first pin. It's going to be pin and win, as Bobby Fischer used to say. Oh, adding the pressure on the d2 knight, getting out of check. Yep, the d2 knight's gone with check. Now, the next thing that's going to go is probably extra pressure on the knight, which is trapped, attacked by rook and bishop. Bishop takes knight, bishop takes bishop. It's all over. Methodically exchanging pieces to increase the size of the advantage as a percentage, just sacrificing a bishop just to clear a bit of space. And now we get the staircase checkmate, rank by rank, 3rd rank, 2nd rank, 1st rank, all over.
There you go. So a little bit of momentum. Eric gets a clash done, so it is 3-1, right? He gets it on the board. Nice not to get shut out in the final, and
absolutely.
There it is, still alive, still has a chance.
It's interesting. Hikaru folded when he had a very decent hand. 2 rooks. Well, I say a decent hand. It wasn't a bad hand. It was 2 rooks, a knight, and a couple of pawns, which in points terms is 10, 13, 15 over 5. And the standard, if you like, the median, is it queen 6 or queen 7 you were telling me, Jeff, in poker?
Yeah, queen 7 offsuit. So queen 7 of not the same suits. That's called the computer hand.
Right. Yeah. So that's sort of 16 points in choker is like the computer hand, queen 7 offsuit, and Hikaru had 15 points. So I'm not sure if it was one to fold on when he was in such a good position chip wise. But the pressure still on Eric. He's got to win this clash to stay in the match. Best of 7. Good to see, though, that we're getting the illustration that what choker does, it levels it up even between elite players and jobbing professional players. The weaker chess player can win at choker. which is one of the great attractions of the game. We hope for people from outside the chess community, be they poker or in other esports. Choker's a good way into gaming with chess. You can download it from Apple Play or Google Store. Sorry? No.
Sorry. Well, I can't. No, I'm not going to interrupt the most important part. We got to talk about where.
Most important message.
Yes,
the most important message. Downloadable from the Apple Store and Google Play. It's a free-to-play game. Just put it on your phone and start playing. Join the community.
Absolutely. I was going to say the betting lines. If you were to start the day, is Hikaru minus 150, minus 200. What's the how big of a favorite do you think he was going into today at the start?
Well, I mean, I just thought Eric might have some good chances against him. But I think I mean that assessment's been rendered looking pretty foolish the way Hikaru's dominated on the chessboard. But I thought that Eric might just be able to outplay him a little bit in the poker phase, but that really hasn't happened. Particularly, actually, what's been clear is that even in the chess, Hikaru's been way better, and I certainly didn't budget on Eric blundering in that catastrophic way. 2 pawns.
Oh,
3 pawns. Promotion. That's the whole thing about 4 pawns. Goodness me. Eric's had a double promotion. But Hikaru's also got a good hand. Queen and knight and 2 pawns is also not bad. That's already 14 points. He's going to be over the median 16 unless he gets a pawn. Yeah, he's 17 points. But Eric, wow. He's had a couple of promotions. So Eric 21. Oh, he's got a bet. But Hikaru will probably be tempted as well. He's got a queen. He's got an above median hand of 17 points. Was that a raise from Eric? Yes, it was.
Okay, so we do see this is not all in, but 12,000 is in the pot. So a healthy pot. And essentially, and this is effectively all in. It's not quite, but it's whoever wins this is going to have significant control of this clash.
So none of the major pieces, queens or rooks, shown yet. I think Hikaru senses he may be on the defensive here because he's put that rope-a-dope knight defense. 2 knights defending each other in the double L shape I've just demonstrated there on the board. Very solid, very difficult to prise apart. But immediately Eric's put his bishop on a square where it can reach here, and then it'll be attacking that knight. So Eric's preparing to break down that barrier, putting his rook on an open file, threatening rook all the way down the board to give checkmate in 1 move. Ouch. Hikaru needs to deal with that. That's a nasty threat. Rook would move in a straight line. So the queen... Oh, it's a beautiful square for a queen. What brilliant placement. Look at that. All the way down there, staying on the board as you go, all the way down there. Wonderful scope that queen has. Fantastic mobility. Eric will need to cover the check, which he does. Okay, so this is not so easy for Eric. He should be able to win, but he needs to. Hey, sorry, blunder. Come on, play it. It's mate in 1.
Wow.
Oh, he missed it. Oh my God, he missed it. And he's realised that he's missed it. Now he's on tilt. Or certainly I'd be more on tilt. I'd be, suicidal. I missed that. Goodness me. We've not had very high quality chess this evening. Okay, threatening the checkmate a second time. Hikaru spots it. Rook G1 mate. He just missed it. So now the knights are connected again, but they're a little bit further forward. And they're tremendous defensive power of those 2 knights. So Eric's trying to swap the queens now. He's way behind on the clock again. He's trying to swap the queens. Hikaru doesn't want to swap the queens. He wants to keep it complex. Now Eric needs to swap a bishop for a knight. I don't really think queen down there doesn't actually do anything. That move, that was an air shot. Didn't threaten anything. The queen has no offensive capacity on the H1 square. It can hardly give any decent checks. The knight's covered it. And now actually Hikaru, you can see Hikaru will be dreaming of attacking. This would be a great turn up. Eric trying to exchange pieces. That's an evil check. If the king goes there, there's a knight fork. Check hits the rook. Ouch. That was sneaky. out of left field, literally and metaphorically. King to f8. Oh, he's going to get done. He's going to get done. He's got to go to that square. He's forked. Knight fork. Double L. So now material is equal. It's now queen and bishop and 3 pawns against queen, knight and 3 pawns, effectively equal. But the knight is so much better in speed chess, because in speed chess, the knight can do this tricky L shape, which is harder to predict, harder to anticipate at speed. Hikaru's also got 108 seconds to 58. This is going to be very difficult for Eric to survive. Maybe Eric can try and advance his pawn, but it looks to me like he's losing this pawn. No, that allows a check and takes it. Eric's lost a pawn. He's going to win it back on d5. Okay, now Eric's threatening queen takes knight check. Hikaru covers that by checking and defending, then emphasizing his control of the center, hitting the bishop. Bishop has to retreat. Knight retreats. Eric needs to try and bail out here. He needs to try and exchange pieces, try and share this hand. He can't think he can win it unless Hikaru blunders. Hikaru very cleverly just keeping all the pieces on the board. He says, I got 91 seconds to your 33. Let's keep playing chess. Okay, Eric bringing a pawn into the board, into play, trying to get it down there to attack the knight. Hikaru immediately blocks that. Eric trying to swap queens again. But this is a bit of progress for Hikaru, for Eric. Hikaru pre-moving the pawn move. Knight goes to g2 instantaneously. Eric down to 21 seconds. Queen comes to d2. Hikaru refusing to allow piece exchanges. Again, refusing to allow piece exchanges and attacking Eric's bishop.
14, 13, clock
He's
is
just
running.
running him down. This is such professional blitz chess play. He's just running his clock down. There's nothing he can do. He's got this beautiful constellation of knight and 2 pawns defending the king. Eric has no decent checks, no way of exchanging pieces. Hikaru is not going to let him exchange queens and head for a draw. He's just going to let him run out of time. Eric's clock down in the red, down to 3 seconds. It's gone. It's gone. Hikaru amusingly just plays queen d6 check just to confuse him and offering the queen just to take the mickey. Oh, very professional play by Hikaru. He just outplayed Eric on the chessboard there, Jeff. That's all I can say.
Well, look at this, 16.5 to 3.5. Close to all in yet is. I mean, he's going to drop right into the red zone here. It's nothing he has to post at. And this is going to be instantly all in.
Only got himself to blame. I mean, he missed a mate in one. Mate in one.
It's pretty crazy.
I've never seen so many blunders played by top-class chess players in such short a period, I must tell you.
It's the bright lights. This is the grand final. Pressure's on, and this is the big stage right here. So this is it. This is literally it. I mean, he is back against the wall. He's got to win. Even if he wins this game, he would still be 13 to 7K down in the clash. Right. So the odds are stacked against him. Does have looks like a pretty decent.
Oh, nice hand. Yep. Queen and knight against 2 rooks and knight. I mean, although that's an extra point for Hikaru, he's got 2 rooks, which are worth 5 each, which is 10, and the queen is 9. I kind of think the queen is worth 10 on the choker board just because of the extra mobility at the beginning of the game, and having a knight with it is very helpful too. So Hikaru's going to pop his 2 rooks on the board. I wonder if he'll put them one in front of the other because they're very effective as a team, rooks. Yeah, he did exactly that. And that's very, very clever play by Hikaru, threatening rook c1 check, winning the queen, which Eric immediately covers with the knight. Difficult position this. Eric needs to just try and get his knight towards the black king. I think you'll see Eric trying to maneuver his knight maybe to f5, from where it threatens the e7 pawn. So maybe Eric will put his knight there and there, perhaps? He's also trying to get this square for a nasty check. That's very unpleasant. If that check arrived there, it would win a rook. Oh, he can win a rook anyway. Knight d7 check, Eric. Come on, get on with it. Don't hesitate. Well done. Nice knight fork. Winning a rook for a knight. Now it's a straight fight here. Hey? Oh, this is amazing. Okay, what Hikaru has done is he's trying to set up a fortress. He's given up a rook for a knight to destroy Eric's pawn structure, and he said to him, I've got a fortress here. I'm just going to play rope-a-dope chess with my knight. I've got no weaknesses. The only thing I need to defend, the pawn, this pawn is defended by that pawn. This pawn is defended by that pawn. The only soft spot is this e7 square. Eric's got to maneuver his king to try and attack the e7 square. This is genius play from Hikaru. Absolute genius. Oh, but he's resigned because he mated him. Well, it was looking like genius, but it's gone wrong.
Well, it is life. It continues, so it's not over yet.
Yeah.
Eric does
Oh, I thought that
have
was
7,000.
such a brilliant idea from Hikaru, but Eric held his nerve, just advanced his king, headed towards the weak spot, and Hikaru could see it coming and resigned. Oh, but he's rewarded with a queen.
Again, we just see how a lesser talented player can beat a world-class player. This is very similar to poker, where again, we just can't say enough. I just think that if you were going to get in, let's say you said, I want to start, let's just talk chess, not poker. If you were coming into chess as a new player, as a beginner, do you think it would be more beneficial to start with chess, or do you think poker is a maybe more a fun way to kind of begin or dive in and learn like the end game? What would be your recommendation as a chess background?
I think I'd do both, because the nice thing about choker is it gives you a different kind of chess. You'll get differing experiences. What you can do when you're a beginner in chess is get onto one of the servers, say like Chess24, and you can play people approximately of your own strength, and then gradually increase it. But I think choker will give you a whole new way of thinking about chess. And it also, the thing about choker is it's pure tactics, and they're the hardest things to learn. There's not anywhere near as much chess strategy in choker. The bulk of it is tactics, which are the most important thing that you can train as a beginning player. So, which is why I think choker would be a great thing to do if you're just getting into the game.
Makes a lot of sense. Well, we do see this is red zone in a game. This is Clash 5 in a must-win, and Eric is in the red. So this is it. If we want to see this continue on, he has got to get through this game.
He's in the red on the chip stack, and he's in the red also on the board, I'm afraid. Hikaru's got a 21-point hand. Queen, 2 rooks, and 2 pawns. That's 9. 2 5s and 2 1s. It's 21 points. Eric's way down. I don't see him surviving this. I don't think him surviving this. He's got a couple of knights and a rook. Hikaru, we saw how Hikaru mercilessly demolished him when he had a great material disparity in the first clash. Same thing's coming. Yeah, this is it. It's going to be all over. Rook threatening to come down here.
I do like Eric got a win, and he knows it. I think he knows he's just on borrowed time.
Yeah, I mean, now Hikaru's going to put his queen on the board, and Eric's going to know the game's up. He's already, here it comes. Boom. Yep, he knows it. Hikaru is just in pole position here. Eric's castled. Oh, there we are. He's castled. That's a good idea. That's some attempt to set up a defense. There is a weak square, though, on h2. Hikaru swapping off rooks. That methodical method of just reducing the material when you have a material advantage. And it's now queen and rook against 2 knights, 14 against 6. All Eric can do is try and survive. It's a very nice thing that he's done there, but he's just going to, he's stopping queen h1 mate. Hikaru's got to find a way in. I think what Hikaru might do, actually, is because Eric's got all the squares on the h-file covered here by his king and knight, I think he might either bring the pawns forward, or else he might just swing the rook across and come around the other way, but obviously in straight lines. Rook h2 check. Oh, that was clever. Making it 9 points against 3, queen against knight, and this time there's absolutely no survival. In fact, it's a reverse of what we had last time. Hikaru resigning in a position with the knight against the queen, only this time he's the one with the queen. And Eric's only got the knight. He's going to lose all his pawns. He's going to be checkmated very soon. Pawn f4, winning the knight because of the pin. It's going to be checkmate in a couple of moves, and as long as Hikaru just plays pawn to f3, and it's not stalemate this time because there's a pawn move, and it's queen g2, and it's over. It's all over. Chokemate. He wins the pot.
In style. Does it in style. Finishes off the grand final. There it is. Hikaru Nakamura, your champion, the world champion of the Choker Cup. I mean, can't say we're surprised, but definitely some blunders for sure. Some unexpected play in this today. Not uncharacteristic of Eric.
Yeah, I mean, I think blunders make it more entertaining, quite frankly. I really, it's enjoyable to see some of the world's best players showing that they're human, showing that they can make the kind of mistakes the rest of us can make, including some, I have to say, pretty elementary ones. But what was your opinion really of the poker phase? I mean, Hikaru was, he was pretty, he played safe, didn't he, when he needed to?
I like his bet sizing. He was making sort of pro bets. He was just betting small 750 or whatever, the minimum bets. And he was getting folds from Eric at times. And I think he seemed very comfortable, very confident, and just seemed to know where he was at with what type of hand strength he had. I would say that I just can't say he made any mistakes. And Eric, we did see in the mistakes on the chess phase, right? The checkmate,
Yes.
to miss that mate was that surprises me to not take a little more time in that just significant part. And he had plenty of time on the board to take his time. So I thought it was fun. Very, very high level stuff. And I guess you'll get to ask about that. A couple interesting things in the interview. You get to speak with Hikaru here coming up, so that'll be fun.
I will indeed. And Jeff, I'd just say what a great, enormous pleasure it's been commentating with you, learning an awful lot about poker in the process. And thank you also for being a Choker ambassador and helping to spread the word on this great new game. And I look forward to working with you again on some more Choker matches. I think we've seen an absolutely fantastic final tonight.
Really appreciate it. Enjoyed it. We'll see you soon. Thank you.
Okay, bye for now.
Hey.
Hikaru, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Malcolm.
Yeah, congratulations on a well. It was a smooth performance in the end, 4-1. But goodness me, quite a few blunders on the chessboard, I thought.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing is that Eric, he didn't understand sort of my betting strategy, which is I kind of really slow played it mostly. I wasn't overly aggressive. I sort of trapped him in several critical situations. But then also in the chess, there were a couple opportunities he missed. First of all, there was this game that he lost on time in the last one. He missed mate and won with rook g1.
Indeed, yes.
And then there was also the game earlier. I mean, it was actually the same match where he had the queen, the rook, and the two bishops against the queen and two rooks, and he missed a couple of clear wins there as well. So I think the result wasn't reflective of how close it truly was, because it should have been 3-2, I felt. And then who knows what would have happened as opposed to it being 4-1. But I felt that in Eric's case, he made a couple of mistakes in the chess phase, which was pretty uncharacteristic of him. But then also, two of the times I think he went all in, I think it was the first match and the third one, I had a queen in the first two cards. And so I think he kind of misevaluated, I think, the strength of the starting hands a little bit as well. That's what I would say.
Yeah, well, my co-commentator Jeff Gross, who is a top poker professional, was very impressed with your betting, particularly your small-sized bets. He really liked that strategy very much, and I think you're right. You kind of seem to lure Eric into situations where he was all in without a queen, which is something we've seen in the previous matches. When you're all in without a queen, you're very exposed. And also, Eric, I think Eric's cause wasn't helped, was it, when he allowed rook takes rook? That was
right. There was this. Yeah, this was the other chess one. Yeah, because this game he would have been up a whole rook, and I think that cost him that match. Basically, I think that was the second one. And he probably would have won that match if not for putting his rook on a8. So yeah, I thought with the bet sizes, I mean, I think the blinds perhaps increase a little bit too quickly. I think maybe it should be a little bit slower, but overall, I feel that the main thing is that I was just very. I sort of was always trying to trap him and keep the bet sizing within reason so that there was some pot control, because I have a feeling that in some of those spots where I felt like I was behind, it's kind of where if there's what's called sort of like a blocking bet where you bet into someone and then you cripple them from betting back at you. But if Eric had some really strong hands, he would have been able to go over the top and all in several of those situations. So I thought for the most part with the betting, I was pretty happy. I mean, I should not have gone all in the fourth match when I had 6.5K. I wasn't anywhere near pot committed yet, so I thought that wasn't really all that great. But otherwise, I think for the most part, I did a pretty good job in the betting and controlling the pots, and it worked out.
Yeah, what we also liked was that it wasn't a wipeout. I mean, it did show that what Choker can do is level the playing field a little bit when there's quite a great disparity in rating between players. Eric was at least able to get on the board. I think that's one of the attractions, isn't it, for relatively less experienced chess players, that they can get into Choker, and that they've always got a chance of winning a game, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that, certainly. I think the thing is with this match specifically, Eric, I don't think he had a set strategy of what he was going to try to do. And I think that's why it went really badly, because like I feel the general thing you have to know is what are the good starting hands. I think from my understanding, knights are pretty much the worst piece in the game of chess, or in this version of chess, I should say.
Yes.
And so if you get knights, like I think a knight and a pawn is probably the worst starting hand, because you're not drawing to anything. And so I felt that in general, my understanding as well, like, what were good starting hands, like getting the knight and the pawn, which is just terrible, or getting like a bishop and pawn. Some of these small minor things I think play a role. And I have a feeling that there's probably a fine line between being like super passive and being super aggressive. And I think someone who's maybe like a little bit weaker at chess perhaps, but has more of a background in understanding betting sizing and so forth from poker, probably could be more aggressive, and that would have put me under a lot more pressure. Whereas Eric didn't really do that. He wasn't very aggressive. And I think when someone's playing more of a passive style, the way that I was, you kind of have to play like that. I don't think Eric realized that. So it was interesting. I think people who are like probably 2000, 2100 level at chess, but would do very well at a game like this.
Right. I mean, Jeff and I have been discussing the relative merits of the starting hands an awful lot, and it's pretty clear to me that minor piece and pawn is the worst, and certainly bishops dominate over knights, don't they, because the board is already so clear. So I guess knight and pawn is, we agree, the worst hand. It's pretty much an automatic fold. Bishop and pawn is. But what I noticed was that you folded pawn almost immediately, and that's been the one that we've been debating long and hard here, because we're not sure that's an automatic fold, just because of the possibility of promotion if you get a third pawn.
Right. I mean, I think when I folded it, though, Eric was already a little bit short. I think he was too short stacked when I folded that, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, if you have two pawns and you can play a controlled pot, I think so. But again, when you look at the stack size, which was 10,000 versus, say, the blinds that I think already won 1 to 2K at that point, I didn't feel like it was worth drawing. So I think two pawns, if you can get in an unraised pot, it probably, I think, it's completely fine to play. I think probably the only one that is an automatic fold is knight and pawn, unless you're in the big blind.
Right. Yeah, and these things will all come out on the Choker forums in due course, and we're really hoping actually to get a lot more Choker hands played when we get the web interface on Chess24. But in the meantime, there's a thriving Choker community. I know you're on there quite often, right? You play Choker on your telephone from time to time. So did you also prepare at all?
No, I didn't. I mean, basically, I've played in the past, and essentially the only things that I've really looked at are sort of starting setups. Actually, one thing I would add on that is I think Eric was actually better in terms of in terms of the piece placement. I felt that he understood that a little bit better. In terms of which pieces to place first and sort of the squares, whereas I generally the idea that I played, I think for the most part, was pretty straightforward in terms of the concept. So I think there is something to that, certainly in the piece placement. I didn't think I was great at that, but also the thing I would say is that I've only played on my computer, not on. Well, I have played on my phone, but it's almost always on my computer. And I think for me, that's made it a lot easier. I think if you're playing on the phone, from a competitive standpoint, it's very hard to keep up on time. But in general, I trusted what I already knew about it, and basically the style. Even when I played for fun against viewers, for example, I've always played that sort of slow style, and it seems to work.
Yeah, on piece placement, Eric was routinely putting his rooks on the corner squares, A1, H1, A8, H8. In fact, I think that's why he lost the rook against you, was that he was just automatically put it there at that moment when you could just take it in one move.
Right. I mean, I actually think maybe he forgot that it was check or something. Because I mean, I think he saw rook H1 was checkmate. So I think maybe he just forgot that. I'm not sure, but at any rate, I think it wasn't so much the rooks. I thought he was better, very specifically at putting the pawns and the bishop on better squares than I was.
Right.
That's what it felt like to me. But again, most positions we had, it didn't make that big of a difference.
Yes, I mean that his trademark is kind of with white pawns on E2, F3, and G4, and then sometimes castling is king. And we had a little viewer competition to suggest a name for that. You know, it's a pretty solid setup, but he only got the chance to do it once, didn't he? And then it didn't, as you said, didn't really matter because of the disparity anyway in the pieces on the board, and you cleaned him up.
Right, yeah, I didn't actually think about that idea. I mean, mainly I feel that if you put pawns on F3 and G4, the idea is you're just going to put something on the H file, basically.
Yes.
Because you can't really get attacked because the queen and the bishop, you would kind of have to know exactly what white has in their hand in order to put like the bishop and the queen on that diagonal, like B8 to H2 to stop something.
Yes.
So it's interesting. I didn't really think about it. The only setup that I've thought about really is sort of putting the bishop on G2 and pawns on F2 and G3 around it. That's the only setup that I really have looked at. But I think there certainly is room for improvement on the setups. I think a lot, though, comes down to understand the value of the hands. I think that really, at the end of the day, is what's going to separate probably really good players from players who are casual. I think that's probably the biggest thing that can be learned.
I mean, do you think? I think the queen is also really worth more than 9, isn't it? At the outset, I mean, just with the board being so open.
Well, I mean, I think that it depends. Also, I think having a queen as white, like having a queen and a bishop as white, is very, very advantageous. I think if you have a queen as black, of course, it's very good, but I don't think it's as powerful. I think when you get a queen and a bishop specifically, and you're white, that's a very powerful combination. So. It's the queens and bishops are probably most important. I think the hardest one is the rooks. Like I assume you guys know what all the hands were, right? So the very first hand that we played, which actually was an all-in, what did Eric have in his first 2 cards?
Let me see, because I think he folded, didn't he?
No, the very first hand we played, we were both all in. The very first hand.
I think.
I had a queen and a pawn to start. I don't know what he had.
Yeah, he had. You had a queen and pawn, but I think he had rook and pawn from memory, something like that. That's why he stayed in.
Oh, he had a rook and a bishop. Okay.
Rook and a bishop. Okay.
Oh, well, that's terrible. Sorry. That's yeah. I mean, I actually feel like if you're gonna go all in that spot where it's like, I mean, raise, re-raise, all in. I think you have to have at least 2 rooks there. And even 2 rooks, I'm not sure about. Because the problem is if you think about it from the standpoint of like Eric, or if you have the 2 rooks, your opponent almost certainly has to have a queen there, which means there are only 3 queens left in the deck at most.
So it's a 1 in 12 chance, yeah?
Right. So to me, I mean, I think you have to have at least 2 rooks to start there to go all in. I think a rook and a bishop is not good enough.
Yes.
Because there's just so little you're drawing to. So I think that's a mistake, certainly. But I think most importantly is like if you get a queen early, you also don't want to show it if you can help it. So I think Eric he didn't really understand that, like I kept like basically just checking or calling the bets, trying to trap him, and I think every single time he actually fell into it. So it was a very effective strategy. But certainly I think you do want to try and disguise it if you do have the queen in your hand.
Yeah, you know, I'd really like to see I'd like to see pairs choker. I'd like to see a poker player, a good poker player and a good chess player playing against a good poker player and a good chess player. A bit like advanced chess that we used to have with a computer and a human against a computer and a human. They used to see some really high level choker. But yeah, going back to that first hand, I was amazed he was all in when I saw it come on the board. Jeff and I were actually doing a little bit of intro in the betting. For you bet real fast in that first hand. It was all over in a flash. But it was, when it appeared on the board, I thought, not good. Well, Hikaru, congratulations. Congratulations. I mean, you're effectively the world choker champion.
Well, for now. I'm not convinced that I will be for long.
No, it'll be interesting to see, won't it? What kind of combination of chess player we get. But I have to say, your blitz skills, and I saw a certain amount of pre-moving came up there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the other big thing that sort of really hurt Eric, is that even when he got the really good positions, he was too slow. He was just way too slow, and that really hurt him. If he had been faster, again, for at least it would have been 3-2. So I think the speed that I had also was just another edge that made it very hard for Eric.
Well, you literally ran his clock down in a couple of games. I mean, there was I remember the Queen and Knight against Queen and Bishop with 2 pawns each, and he had a 3-1 deficit on time, and you could see him desperately trying to exchange the pieces. But you, as Julian Hodgson used to say, Hikaru, Queen and Knight, they're all right, and you never let him exchange, and his time just ran out, which is another good chess strategy that we saw him play there.
Yeah, I think, I mean, again, you have to try to use all the advantages you have, and I think that is a big advantage I have, is that I can move very quickly, and I think Eric was just, in general, he was just too tentative across the board, but he still had legitimate chances where he could have won this match, and I think that's the most important takeaway. It's not like something where I just literally blew him off the board. He very easily could have won 1 or 2 of those matches if he had been a little bit quicker and a little bit sharper. And I think that was, I mean, I think that's what's very weird to me actually about this, is that the reason Eric lost this match, I think, is more about chess than it is about poker, which you would think that doesn't make sense, because of course Eric is a very strong chess player, but it felt to me that it was actually the chess that let him down, and not the sort of the poker strategies that hurt him the most.
Yeah, and somehow, though, you were outplaying him on the betting in certain respects. But as you say, the difference came on the chessboard in the end, which is maybe a lesson we have for Choker. And the game's developing all the time. We've had some changes on the rules about the big blinds and what we do with the pot and that sort of thing. And I think we'll see the game probably develop more in the future. And we hope to have some input from you on that too. And look forward to seeing you in future events. So Hikaru Nakamura, thank you very much for participating, for joining us for the final of the Challengers Choker Cup, and a worthy champion and a great performance. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
Bye.